It is in the animal part of our nature to be most impressed by what we can see and hear in the present, or whatever seems the most dramatic. This is what makes us fall for alluring schemes that promise quick results or easy money. And it is the exact same thing that makes us overreact to present circumstances. We become overly exhilarated or panicky as events turn one direction or the other. You should measure people by the narrowness or breadth of their vision. Avoid entangling yourself with those who cannot see the consequences of their actions. These people are in a continual reactive mode, and they will infect you with this energy as well. Your eyes must be on the larger trends that govern events and which are not immediately visible. Never lose sight of your long-term goals. With an elevated perspective, you'll have the patience and clarity to reach almost any objective. Every event is connected to something that happened before in an endless chain of historical happenings. Any present problem has deep roots in the past, and it also encompasses the future. Whatever we do has consequences that stretch far into the years to come. When we limit our thinking to what our senses immediately provide, we are no longer aware of why or how things come about. We imagine that some successful scheme that has lasted a few months can only get better. We react to what is given in the moment based on only a small piece of the big puzzle. The result of all this is that our actions lead to unintended consequences or even to disasters like the South Sea crash or the crash of 2008. There is in fact a way for us humans to give ourselves an expanded view in the present moment. We can call this the far-sighted perspective. When facing a problem, conflict, or some exciting opportunity, we train ourselves to detach from the heat of the moment and then to calm down our excitement and our fear and get some distance. Next, we start to make our perspective deep and wide in considering the nature of the problem we are confronting. We don't just grab for an immediate explanation, but instead we dig deeper and consider other possibilities and possible motivations for the people involved. We force ourselves to look at the overall context of the event and not just what immediately grabs our attention. We focus on our long-term goals and realign our priorities in the present according to them. In simple words, this process involves a distance from the present, a deeper look at the source of problems, a wider perspective on the overall context of the situation, and a look into the further future, which obviously includes the consequences of our actions and our own long-term priorities. As with most elements of human nature, awareness is the key. Only by seeing the signs of short-sightedness in ourselves, we can combat them. The following are the four most common manifestations of short-term thinking. Unintended consequences. In the 19th century India, which was under the British rule, there were too many venomous cobras in the street of Delhi. The authorities announced that for every killed cobra brought to them, a reward will be given. Soon after this, the locals started to breed cobras in order to make a living, and by the time the government cancelled this program, there were 3 times more cobras than before. Any phenomenon in the world is by nature complex. An action sets off a limitless chain of reactions. It is never as simple as event A leading to event B. The event B will further lead to event C, then to D, and beyond. You cannot possibly map out this chain of events or get complete control over consequences. But by making your thinking more consequential, you can at least become aware of the more obvious negative consequences that could ensue. And this often spells the difference between success and disaster. Tactical hell. Our minds are designed for strategic thinking and calculating several moves in advance towards our goals. But in tactical hell, you can never raise your perspective high enough to think in that manner. That is because you're constantly reacting to the moves of another person and not being proactive. Embroiled in their dramas and emotions, you keep going around in circles. The only solution is to sacrifice your ego and back down. Remind yourself that winning an argument or providing your point gets you nowhere in the long run. Win through your actions, not your words. During the run-up to the 1929 crash on Wall Street, many people had become addicted to playing the stock market. And this addiction had a physical component, which was the sound of the ticker tape that registered each change in a stock's price. Hearing that clicking noise indicated something was happening. Somebody was trading and making a fortune. Many felt drawn to the sound itself, which felt like the heartbeat of Wall Street. We no longer have the ticker tape, but many of us have become addicted to the minute-by-minute news cycle, to the latest trends. We feel like we are connected to the very flow of life itself, events as they change in real time, and to other people who are following the same incident reports. It is normal to want to keep up with the latest news, but to base any kind of decision on these snapshots of the moment is to run the risk of misreading the larger picture. You feel the need to be on top of all the details and global trends so that you can control things better, but you are drowning in information. This is a sure sign that you have lost a sense of your priorities. Make yourself aware of which facts are more important, what problems or details require more attention. Like everyone, you enjoy the present and its passing pleasures instead of becoming a monk. You connect to the trends of the moment and to the current flow of life. But you derive even greater pleasure from reaching your long-term goals and overcoming adversity. This will enable you to see further into the future, a potential power that we humans have only begun to tap into.